All right, guys. So this is one of my favorite submissions from Mount. It's a little bit different. So, Joe, I want you to go head facing the camera on your back. Was that your head facing the camera? No, it's not.
Your other head, Joe.
Your head was facing me, right? A lot of the time, you have your classic submissions like S mount, arm bars, and stuff like that. For me, I love S mount, but the problem with it is anytime we're going with like a bigger opponent or somebody that's like real scrambly, when we get into this S mount, unless we have a very perfect like heavy S mount, we're probably going to get bumped off, okay? Or we're going to get like pushed over, something like that. So I've really started to attack like a mounted Ude Gatame, and it allows me to get to a lot of other setups, right? So the way I'm going to start setting this up is usually they're going to have their hands right down by my waist, right? And what I like to do is I like to get one grip under the head, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my hand under his head, and I'm going to turn my forearm up and almost just like pull his head off the mat. Right? The reason I do this is because it makes it really hard for him to like push on my hips and start hip escaping, rather than if he can use his head on the mat to start pushing away and being able to base, right? When I keep his head elevated, it makes his arms really weak, right? Now from here, he has this arm across my chest. This is pretty common. They'll be like looking to get into your hip. What I'm going to do is basically I find his wrists with my fingers and I trace his arm all the way down behind his elbow, rather than just trying to get in behind his elbow, right? Because I'll spend all day trying to get in there, but if I trace his arm down, I can punch right underneath it. Right now from here, I get behind that elbow, right? Now from here, I want to finger walk, finger walk, finger walk. Now there'll be a little bit of a fight here, and what I'm going to do is every time Joe goes to pull his elbow inside, I'm going to collapse my elbow really tight, right? Then I'm going to open my elbow up and finger walk, okay? Now, if you guys know how to do a head and arm choke, this is a little bit different because I'm not going to look to pass this arm in front of me, but as it gets to right here, I'm basically going to take my head and I'm going to dump it next to his arm, right? And I'm putting a lot of pressure into my chest. I don't want to see like people putting pressure in their head and like doing this, right? I don't want his hips to be able to wiggle away. I'm like head down, pressure is going into my chest, and then my head is coming down here, okay? So once we're in this position with our head down, we're basically going to take our bicep and elbow and we're going to like pull his arm in tight as like we find his wrist with our head and ear. Basically what I'm doing is like I'm pulling this in and closing off with my head, pinching it real tight. Now what I want to do to start looking to finish this, I'm going to take my hand, you can't see it, I'm going to take my hand to his head, and basically what I'm going to do is put my knee over his head. But I want to keep his arm at this slightly elevated angle rather than a 90 degree. Like I want him up here, elbows pulling tight, head's tight, knee comes over the head, right? And then like my shin is going to be blocking his face. I take my other foot over top of him. I look to grab my own wrist. I'm going to open my back like a cat, and I'm going to basically pull my elbows to myself as I pinch my ear, getting a nice Uda-katami finish. This is a really, really safe one. Even if for some reason I'm not able to finish here, a lot of the time I can just pop myself right back to mount, right? Now, let's say we're in this scenario where we have this arm up, we're looking for our finish, and Joe's doing a good job at like dumping his thumb and I can't get my finish, or maybe I've just moved too far down where I can't attack here. What I'm going to look to do is, with my head still on the mat, it's going to be hard to see if I keep my head down, but with my head on the mat, I'm going to take my arm and I'm going to like slide it to his arm and tricep here. So like I'm here, and now from here, I basically pop myself up just enough where I can pull my knee through to here, right? Once we pulled our knee through here, I'm going to look to grab his wrist, pinch my knees together. I can keep this foot underneath the shoulder blade, right? And I'm going to look to grab the thumb, point it slightly. I don't overemphasize pointing it straight up to the sky. At this angle, if I keep my hand in here, rather than thinking about pointing all the way up, I have this wedge here, and this hip is slightly higher than my left hip, right? So I can actually point it at a slight angle, right? Pinch my elbow off, pinch this knee in, and I can get a really tight finish off of that angle rather than trying to come here like you guys do classically. The other thing is, with this grip still around his elbow. When I pull this in, it's really tight, and it makes it really hard for Joe to start escaping this arm. Versus when we bring both hands to the wrist, if Joe starts wiggling around, he can free that elbow and start to hitchhiker escape. Another couple options from there for like some slight dilemmas we may face. Let's just slide right here, Joe. So if we start coming through on this arm bar, one thing that'll happen a lot is this person's going to look to lock his hands together, right? This happens a ton. So what I always like to do is my first response to this is going to be to punch my hand to the inside, and like I'm going to turn my hand up like this, doing like a Kimura grip. Now from here, I take my hand out, I can move my hand out of the way, and then I go into my actual Kimura grip, right? The reason I do this at first is because it keeps his hand wedged out. If I just go like this, right, he may be able to escape, rather than if I keep this, then I switch. Now from here, I'm going to look to punch this down to his hip, right? He's probably going to start escaping his hips. I like to put my foot actually on the hip, and now I can put this behind his back, okay? If Joe does a really good job keeping his hands locked, right, when we're here, turn, yeah, perfect. A little bit more, right? I have another couple options, right? I can look to just bring this foot. I like to ballerina toe it here. No, keep your hands locked full, right? I can ballerina toe it. I take my other foot and I like cross my feet here, right? This makes a really powerful break. So even if Joe holds really tight here, as I pop and I pull, his arms come apart, right? And we can start going for that arm bar, right? And one more finish from here. One of my favorites is, instead of looking to cross and go into your classic arm bar, when I do my ballerina toes here, right? And Joe, just bring your arms low, right? So if I just try to bring my foot in while we're talking about this, it's going to be hard. So I actually open his arm up, right? He's still going to try to keep his hands to his chest. I need to create as much space as possible by leaning, and then I take my foot and I point my toes in, and I can shoot them through. Right now from here, I want to fall all the way to my other hip here, right? Hopefully he follows me up when I open this leg. If he does, it's going to make everything super easy for me. So I open this, he follows me up, and I just take my knee to the back of Joe's head, and I lock my triangle here, right? If Joe does not follow me up, what I'll do is I'll take my other foot and I'll actually pull him up. I'll shoot my knee to the back of the head. I'm going to pull that in, then I'm going to lock here. So let's turn this way. Perfect. Come up. Yep. So when I take this knee to the back of the head, I'm going to lock this in super tight here. Right? I can usually finish this if I do a really good job at pulling his head in, turning my toes down and out, and like hipping through rather than squeezing. If I squeeze on this, I'll actually just move him away. Right? If I take my foot, pull my knee in, turn my toes out, and I hip through this finish, it's a lot different. Sorry. It's a lot different than if I just try to squeeze here. Right now, if I'm going for my finish and I can't get it, what I will do is I will actually push him away. Now from here, watch my hand, it's just going to turn over, grab his thumb, right? And same thing, we're going to finish over that hip. Okay? Those are basically all my favorite options from there. And that Ude-Gatame opens me up for a lot of setups. And then in my instructional precision top stuff, I go over a ton of this, and I have a ton more options from there.